This fall, travel back to one of the greatest civilizations in human history and uncover the secrets waiting for you on Greece's fractured islands. As civil war erupts around you, discover your destiny, bring honor to your family, save Atlantis, and single-handedly rid the Mediterranean of a parasitic cult. With our most advanced RPG systems to date, truly experience what it feels like to be a demigod, to write history as it happens, to transcend the capabilities of all those around you. And until you see a guy with a shield, a gold level above his head, even just a bear or something, then experience what it's like to be the first man to run a marathon while shooting a bow and arrow with perfect accuracy.
Immersion. Something that we talk a lot about on this channel. It's something that seemed pretty important to a lot of you on Twitter, as it is to me, and it's become somewhat of an ambiguous benchmark in video games that becomes more and more important as the industry progresses forward toward the ultimate goal of really letting a player feel like they're sweating in Ultra HD. I'd argue one of the most important things about nailing immersion is character progression, which we're going to talk about today. If you didn't catch my drift earlier, that opening bit was about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which recently I had a blast with. It completely blew me away with just about every step it took to avoid being the old copy and paste Assassin's Creed formula I was used to. The only thing that didn't sweep me off my feet was the character progression and how mediocre it left me feeling in comparison to how powerful I was being told I was. So while I get reacquainted with some other games, I'll let James talk about the AC Odyssey chunk of this video and what the game does wrong in terms of character progression, and then we'll talk about what other games have done right later. Ew, it's really gooey in here. We're not doing Mario pipes again. Jesus Christ. Hey, real quick, this is gonna be quite a long video, at least in comparison to my other ones. We're already a few minutes in, and I still have a bunch more to say. So in the description, there's gonna be some labeled timestamps in case you get bored or you just want to jump around, although there are some good memes layered throughout this whole segment. But anyway, sit back and enjoy. Now, I don't want to get too wacky on you here, but we're actually going to start at the beginning of the game. So after some preliminary cutscenes and an introductory battle, we're met with Alexios, or Cassandra, depending on who you chose to play as. I chose Alexios because, like me, he has a wiener. And I really want to feel like... Immediately, you're shown that you're quite the capable mercenary who trained as a Spartan his entire childhood and have some kind of innate power, as well as a dope-ass bird best friend. On your home island of Kefalonia, people seem to underestimate you, making the questlines pretty easy and smooth, at least relative to the rest of the game. Even the final boss of your home island, who you're warned about consistently for the first few hours of the game, ends up being a total glass cannon. It's not until Alexios leaves on his odyssey and travels to the greater lands of Greece that he starts to feel challenged, which is a good thing. It makes sense. Not every game has to be this perfectly linear chain of character progression. I love the idea of Alexios leaving home and starting to realize that the foes and problems he once thought were great and everything he thought he would ever face are actually dwarfed by the things he's consistently encountering in the wider world. It's a great way to kick off the RPG grind. It's not until the middle of the game that the feeling that you're probably never gonna escape the grind starts to set in. The progression you're seeing with each level is definitely tangible. The new capabilities you're rewarded definitely impact the way you play and give you greater power over your enemies, especially with your bow. But when it comes down to brass tacks, even with the best armor, the best weapons, and the right engravings, you never really start to dominate encounters the way you want to, especially when it comes to melee combat. No matter where you go or when you go there, all of the enemies and their capabilities scale with you, excluding certain story-driven enemies like cultists. On a related side note that probably doesn't matter as much, when you encounter your brother or sister, who the person you didn't pick to play as at the beginning of the game, they're also demigodish and very well trained, except evil, and you have to fight them. Now, when you fight them, you can Spartan kick them, shoot slow motion arrows, hell, shoot fast motion arrows, but they can use fucking earth magic and call upon the lightning of Zeus. I want to do that. Now back to the main point. I think one of the main reasons you always feel a bit lagged behind, and even when your level is up to snuff, you still feel pretty weak, is because there's microtransactions in a single-player RPG that directly affect the rate at which you level up, which is, like the only objective of the game. For $10, you permanently gain a 150% boost to all XP and drachmae earned for the rest of the game, which seems like, I don't know, a broken thing to put into an RPG that I would never buy. Okay, look, I got the game for $25. 10 more only makes it $35, which is better than $60. I know, that's a lot of math. But I was really desperate to feel like Alexios. And what do you know? When I spend the extra $10, I'm leveling up fast as shit, baby. I'm getting all these new abilities. This is fun as hell. Wanna know who else is leveling up fast as shit? The fucking enemies! Obviously, developing a game without such a huge disparity in level pacing amongst players would help things feel significantly smoother. But I think a few more things could have helped cement the character progression. First off, warrior damage. No matter what I did or what loot I used, my warrior damage could never compete with my hunter or assassin damage. I love the idea of splitting up the three and using skill points and loot systems to chase after your favorite, but I did everything I could to be a goddamn warrior, and no matter what, I felt like a glass cannon shooting fucking bubbles. Just being able to use a shield would have changed this feeling significantly, especially since 80% of the fucking enemies in this game have shields the size of their entire bodies. Another thing that could have helped this feeling is a loot system where you can constantly upgrade and retain your favorite armor and weapons without having to pull out your diamond pickaxe and go looking for fucking obsidian. On a calmer note, I'm happy to say that both the ability to use a shield and scaling loot systems have both been recently announced for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is actually really encouraging. But lastly, I feel if the stealth and assassin systems were optimized a little bit better, the lackluster warrior capabilities wouldn't bother me as much. One of my favorite things to do in any stealth scenario is planning out my full attack and finding all the routes I can use to stay undetected while wiping out an entire encounter. Icaro, my pet bird in the game, is the coolest fucking feature and makes this so satisfying. Being able to brand all the enemies, objectives, and loot caches creates an entire new dynamic to being an assassin. I'll usually save before I head into an encounter like this because if I mess it up, I'll revert back and start all over again just because of how satisfying it is to know you made all the right choices at all the right times and came out with no one ever knowing you were even there. I feel like every time I accomplish something like that, I'm genuinely adding to my Odyssey and my infamy and my legend. My favorite thing about doing this though is coming up behind a captain or an over-leveled grunt and putting my fucking spear in their neck or tearing their kidneys out through their backs, only to have them turn around like nothing ever happened and alert 38 people and 3 bounty hunters to my whereabouts. Now the trade-off here is it's incredibly easy to stay out of sight, sneak up behind people, track their movements, especially with how fucking dumb the AI are. So you easily deal large chunks of damage against the hardest enemies, but you also then get discovered by like the entire fort, which is a fair enough trade-off and it led me down some funny encounters. But I would love to see the stealth and AI systems optimized or just reworked so staying undetected is reasonably more difficult, as well as the movement patterns of captains a bit harder to track and their positioning more dynamic so they're harder to get through and maybe you have to go through a lot more silent assassinations to get to them, but your reward after doing it the right way is a clean and silent kill so you can move on to the rest of the fort undetected. Now, that is more than enough about Assassin's Creed, and we still do have more to talk about, but I hope through that I've been able to vocalize why character progression is so important to a game and immersion, and mostly highlighted the things that can hinder it. Man, you can really talk. Alright, well, fuck off. Harry Potter. I don't know how I managed to get Harry Potter in every video. It's my greatest talent. Voldemort, epic wizard, you know, not good, but epic, tries to kill a kid, seppukus himself. Kid, now wizard Harry Potter, epic. Voldemort, the only way he'll ever be epic again is to take from Harry and put unto himself. Now, if we look any more into that analogy, it won't hold up, so let's not. The first Voldemort is the original Assassin's Creed games. Harry is the Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor series. And then the second Voldemort that needs to take to get better and epic again is the new Assassin's Creed games. I believe that the newer Assassin's Creed games and what makes them great is partly due to the success of the Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War series. And that game owes its success and part of its idea to the original Assassin's Creed games. Now, where the Assassin's Creed games have never been able to compete with the Shadow of series is in the combat. At the beginning of Shadow of Mordor, you can barely take on a few grunt soldiers at once. Even though you're a Dunedain ranger and you're now encumbered with the wraith of an elf lord, the evil making its way through Middle-earth has a will and a purpose, you know, unbeknownst to anything you've fought before. As Talion trains, you become better and more acquainted with the game over time, and as Talion becomes more accustomed to the power granted to him by Celebrimbor, you upgrade yourself in the RPG system and get all these new cool abilities, and as Talion becomes battle-hardened, you find cool new loot and start using it, and also just get like base character trait enhancements throughout the game. Talion finds it really easy to run through like dozens of enemies without even taking a hit. Even the bounty hunters, I mean captains, are a lot easier to deal with, especially if you use their own weaknesses against them. The difference between your capabilities at the beginning of the game and now is jarring, and it's such a satisfying feeling. It's not just killing orcs either. Learning how to dominate wargs and cave trolls not only gives you a whole new way to tackle late game encounters, but serves as a form of character progression in the sense that you're gaining more power over your environment, and that's a perfect segue for what I'd like to talk about. Character progression isn't always about feeling stronger or more powerful over the course of a game. It could also be about gaining agency over your world. In Subnautica, a game I've mentioned a few times on this channel, you're purposely made to feel almost entirely powerless from beginning to end. So how do you make a player feel accomplished and satisfied? Well, they did a pretty good job with subtle hints and bits of research and environmental storytelling to fuel the player's curiosity and send them on a path of rapid technological development that sends them deeper and deeper into your planet, and with depth comes story and lore. And once that train's a-moving, it's pretty hard to stop. Get them moving with a sea dewey, and then move them up to a little baby submarine, and then a big mommy milky submarine, and then in there you get a nice fucking piece of alien sex technology disguised as a prawn suit, and then rocket ship to save themselves, because apparently nobody else can. Without killing, shooting, or fucking Avada Kedavraing anyone. I felt this intense pride looking back on my planet and my game from the rocket ship I built. The same pride I felt when I killed the Black Hand and purged Middle-earth of this growing evil. The pride I wish I felt at the end of AC Odyssey. But instead, I'm left feeling a bit blue-balled because, you know, while I'm fighting my sister in the final battle, she can use fucking Torterra's moveset, and I'm over here like a little ape turd spamming fire arrows. To be clear, I fucking love Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've put 65 hours in it since whenever the Steam sale started a month ago, which I should have spent editing, but I'm a fucking gamer. It's so fun, and the beauty and detail on that scale is unmatched for any game I've ever played. It looks like that game Ghost of Tsushima is doing a really fucking good job, probably a better job. But besides that, I don't know anything on that scale that's that fucking beautiful. But that doesn't mean it's without fault. Coming back to immersion, when I sit down to play a game, especially an RPG like that, yeah, I want to feel challenged, sure. I don't want to play fucking Barney's ABC Extraordinaire, but I also want to feel fucking extraordinary and accomplished and powerful, especially when I'm being told I am those things. I don't think that a game world that is always scaling is ever going to be able to fully satisfy most players, especially players that want to get out in front of the game and be more powerful and get extra leveled and stuff if that's what they want to do, nor is it going to be able to tell the story to its maximum potential. And beyond all that, sometimes when I'm playing the fucking shitty game I bought 22 years ago called Life and I'm feeling underleveled, I want to sit down, boot up Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and just beat the cum out of Aristocococles and fucking Doofy Dodo. Thank you for watching. It's been a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is definitely one of my longest, if not my longest, and definitely my most analytical video to date, and most of it was spent with fucking Bedroom Boy. So I'd love to know what you guys thought about that in the comments. It's not just a fucking comment ploy. Your opinions are paramount to me. I love you guys. Coming up very soon, I'm making a cameo in one of the coolest fucking things I've ever been invited to be a part of by the boy that we all know and love. You should subscribe to him. His channel's at like the top link in the description. Doplex. He's taking a massive undertaking, making a choose your own adventure on YouTube. If you've ever seen something like Markiplier does, he's the only one that I can think of. It's very similar to that. It's like if you're reading a Goosebumps book and you get to turn to whatever page you want to see your endings and how your story progresses in comparison to your friends. That's what this is going to be. There's going to be videos linked at the end to make choices and get to different endings and dead ends and all this shit. And I was invited to be a very small part of it, which is so cool. It's coming out soon. I don't know when. Link in the description to his channel. Be ready for that. It's going to be awesome. Beyond that, something that's already come out that it's one of my favorite things I've ever gotten to make with someone is with a guy who I think is the most underrated sketch channel on YouTube, Danny Ronner. He just invited me to audition for his incredible script, and I got the part, and we filmed a movie together. The next link in the description is going to be to that video that's already up. Danny is so fucking funny in it, and I take my shirt and my pants off, which is I know what you're all here for.
Yeah, we're here now because my camera died during my egregiously long outro. Follow me over on Twitter It's like my favorite place to hang out with you guys and make jokes and stuff outside of YouTube, and it's the easiest way to get in touch with me if you want that.
Get in the motherfucking Discord, the Dumpy Boy Collective.
And follow me on Twitch for more garbaggio like this. Let's go normal
voice. I'm probably not going to be streaming as much because I'm going to be making 2 full video essays a month now.
Wow.
I know that's not very impressive, but for me and my catalog, it's pretty fucking epic if I can get 2 big, juicy video essays out there per month. And I just, this is all I want. It's all my dreams and aspirations and goals, and I want to give you guys all the content I can, and I just want to make my fucking way in this community. So I might as well give it a go and fucking buckle down. If there's anybody left watching still, that's fucking...
Unfreaking believable.
Guys, it's the Halo voice. This bit sucks ass. Alright, do everything that everybody else says that you do at the end of their videos to my video. And I don't know if you could tell, but the whole outside bit with the blue screen was filmed in front of a green screen, and it was just a fake picture of my outside because it was raining a lot. Okay, bye.